So it's around 2009, 2010, and I'm still heartbroken from Wendy, mainly because I got abandoned up here, lost my friends and my job in LA and all that. So, but then a numerous amount of bizarre coincidences started happening that kind of demanded getting in contact with her. And I tried to, but her man was a very possessive guy, and you always want to erase the guy before you. And not only that, but I'd heard from the guys in the crew that she's saying some pretty crazy shit about you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, you know how I am. They go, no, we know what you do, we know how you are, but she's really serious. They think you're really fucking crazy. Her friends think you're a fucking psychopath. And so I kind of chalked it up as, I can understand it, because even 4 years later, it was never Dawn, it was never Wendy, it was Dawn and Wendy. In fact, it wasn't even Wendy, it was Babe. And I knew that had to be going on with the way we were with our friends. In fact, she eventually, as I understand it, detached from that whole group, and that was her whole circle. So I assumed that what she was doing was having to cut those handcuffs off, and she had to do it in a brutal way. I knew she, there's just those understandings. I thought I would never have that feeling, but I just knew what was going on with her. It's really weird. I knew when she would be pregnant. I knew the kind of guy she would meet. She was convinced she wouldn't meet one. I mean, I wished for that guy for her. And it's ironic that, when I knew, I remember thinking, oh, she's had her kid and this and that. They had, some emissary, Shannon, my good friend, come and tell me as if I was going to be heartbroken and suicidal, which I typically would be. But I wasn't in that boat anymore. And she's like, Wendy had a kid. I'm like, awesome. Oh, my God, this is exactly when I thought you would have a kid. It's a boy, right? And on down the line. And they seemed a little shocked at that, yeah, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I've been wanting that. And they think I'm just, I don't know why, of all people, they think I'm making shit up. Because even when they're not around, I back up what I told them, and no people up here don't even know that. But I wanted to tell you about my Colonel Kurtz moment that I just know occurred. And it's very spooky because, as my health incidents, which came post-addiction, happened, and I had my near deaths and all that. It was in the summer when I was kind of just rehabbing from almost losing my legs. I'd had 400 deaths. I really wasn't doing much except artwork in the garage. And I remember it as a very bizarre time in my life where, as I put it, the pendulum just stopped. And at that moment, some things happened to me. Everyone has those moments, whether you're a brain surgeon or you're a garbage man, where you kind of want to sell the house and move to become part of the Peace Corps in the Philippines. And it was a deep spiritual experience. And I've talked to other people, and I really haven't found anyone who had anything, and it was witnessed by other people, so it wasn't just in my mind. And it was even scary to them, even though it benefited them. Where I was dropping science, man. I wasn't just reading tarot cards. I was better than the dudes on TV, better than that new gay kid talking to the celebrities. I was killing it. I knew names. I knew, the combinations of safes where stuff was that didn't even know there was a safe. I was answering questions before they would ask them. It was really weird what was going on. And it was for someone whose friend was dead. And all of a sudden, all this stuff started flowing into me like it was an avalanche, of all these bizarre psychic, not religious, but spiritual things. Now, I started remembering, my past, and I started realizing all of these moments that, holy shit, I've been doing this my whole life. I just didn't have any fucking clue. So my awakening was like most people's, where it's I'm awakening to finding out I didn't realize that I had been awake. That's typical. But I remembered, I broke up with Wendy. I was supposed to go back to LA. And because of things that happened when I was sober, I totaled my parents' car twice. She couldn't handle it. I did the same thing. Even though we did more than blood swear that we would never break up or abandon the boat, she could not handle it. And I knew, I'd rather die than have her get hurt. I really would. But that was in 2006. The last time I saw her was when we were both on Oprah for the book. And her code number for her pager and her birthday and her cell phone number was all related to the number 26. And it's eerie because the last time I saw her was on Oprah. And that was on 2/2 of 26. No, 2/6 of 2006. So 2626. Isn't that weird? And what's really scary is that my near deaths all happened on the same date. Over a 5-year period, on 4 years of those. Not suicide or anything like that. Just medical issues that almost killed me. And they all happened on 4/26 of the same date of each different year. Isn't that creepy? The 5th year I was nervous as fuck, but nothing happened. Isn't that weird? But anyways, it was 7/2 of 2002. And this is kind of, the honeymoon phase, right? Literally, because we now have a condominium. Her mom got us a condominium. I have an awesome paying job. We're the only ones that have a house. We have a car. We're going to get a Denali. We have a dog. She's selling weed. I'm doing what I want to do. I wasn't addicted to drugs. Everything was fine. I mean, that's when you should have known there was something wrong, I guess, because everything was so fucking perfect. Her dad had bought us this giant, heavy wood, bed frame thing, right? Now, I'll never forget the date, 7/2, which always sticks out to me numerically, because her friend Asherdy, who was, also a friend of mine, it was her birthday. And also, I'll remember the day because it was the 4th of July weekend. And I had a 4-day work weekend off. And so we were having a great time. We have a pool next to the condo, and we're having a great time. We're playing grab ass and doing whatever. So we're assembling this very heavy oak bed upstairs. And something really weird came over me. And I've wondered about this later in time. Of was that my future self talking to myself? Because someone was asking that. Do you think that maybe sometimes you in the future are guiding you now? And I was like, no, I don't. But there was one time where I think something like that happened. I don't just think a scenario like that happened. I think that may have been the case. It's really weird. And we were having this great time. I mean, the last thing on my mind was ever thinking of we're ever going to break up. We were never going to break up. And she went downstairs to make lunch or something like that. I was upstairs still working on the bed. And it was a real heavy oak bed. And all of a sudden, just something came over me. And I wrote out a letter. And I wrote on the letter. Just kind of you think I don't live in the moment. This is a great moment. Me and you we can't tell each other how much we love each other. And it's real because of our ages and our experiences in our past. It doesn't get any better than this. But, there is a future. And, there's never going to be anyone like me, and there's never going to be anyone like you ever again. No matter what anyone comes into our lives and says. Because I'm, putting this underneath one of the heavy wood frames. And I can tell you now that if this is picked up and moved, it's because we've gotten a house. We've moved. We're having kids. And I will find this and I will destroy it. But if something goes wrong, then you will find this letter in the future. And you'll know that me and you had something that, can never be replaced, no matter how much we may hate each other, or I'm dead, or I'm gone, or whatever it is. Just, in this moment, we would swear to each other that there's nobody ever going to be equal to us. And I put that underneath the bed. I don't know why. I wasn't in a bad mood or depressed. It was weird, I got possessed for a moment. And I put that underneath one of the posts of the bed, and it stayed there, and I didn't remember it until we had broken up. In fact, I didn't even remember it until she had her new boyfriend. And I realized, dude, this guy just wants me erased. And I realized they're going to have to move. And I realized they did move eventually. And I thought to myself, and I just knew. After me actually being very cool with them. See, one of the weird things is that in the neighborhood I moved to in Santa Cruz, one of the most popular girls up there was this girl named Samantha Shocker. You might know who she is. She was on Loveline. She has her own talk show now. I had met her just weeks before I left LA because she was dating Wendy's brother who was living with us. So someone who lived right on the street and knew everybody in the neighborhood that I was going to soon know and meet because I got kicked out of LA, ends up, of all people, falling in love with and marrying my brother, and then she becomes a superstar on TV. That's weird. Not only that, but then when he got married to her, him and his best man got tattoos. They got married in Nicene Forest, which is up in Santa Cruz. And the guy who gave him the tattoo was named Dan Linz. It's the only other guy with the same last name as me in all of LA. And he didn't even know that I knew that guy, and the only reason we knew each other was because so many people thought he was me and I was him on Facebook. And then I started meeting people who, guess what, were the brothers of so all of a sudden, I mean, this is going to sound weird to say, but basically it was obvious we were supposed to be together, that we were soulmates. Because now in the rest of my life, when she's totally distant from me, I'm still meeting people and that are associated with her and her family. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just gets really weird after a while. I mean, what are the odds that the girl that all these new guys that I'm meeting are like, yeah, we know who she is. I'm like, dude, she dates my ex fiance's brother, who I like raised. Like, it's just really weird. And then she becomes very famous on Loveline, of all things. You know, and it's just, you know, she has the same birthday as me, but in 1983, and he has August 6th of 1970 something. So it's really weird. It's really weird stuff. But, you know, this letter, you know, when he read that, and I'm trying to get in touch with her and letting her know, like, hey, something's going on here and this and that. He was really an asshole. He was one of those boyfriends who, I mean, I was like once, but I can't deal with. Which is, dude, you can't just erase people. Like, I still have bags of laundry at her house. I know you want to do that, but don't, you know, like, he was making a mistake. Yeah, I probably would get killed. But, like, don't taunt me. And he kept taunting me with this tough guy talk. Like, it just, you know, she should have told him, you know, that's what the guys that he hangs out with thrive off of. And that's probably why they couldn't hang out with him or our friends anymore. And I know he read that. And I know it hit him like a diamond bullet. Right through his forehead. And I thought to myself, that's why I had write that. Because not only that, it was true. It was true. He'd already been married and had a kid, by the way. You know, you want to come and, like, take over my property. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that in a possessive way. And then you're giving me attitude because I'm trying to get in touch with her over something that's very serious, has nothing to do with our relationship. There was nothing even going on with us getting back together when I saw her 6 months later on Oprah. And now you come to the picture and you want to be the king. And that's just never going to that's never going to be able to happen. But you want to be a dick about it instead of being cool about it. So it's like that was such destiny for that guy to get fucking shot in the head. But that was my Kilgore moment. And I realized, my God, the genius I had. Well, it wasn't genius you had. It was what you were not aware of. Until later on, she knew. She knew.